It's because God wanted me to introduce Lissa Coffey's video, and it was at least 3 years ago when Lissa came up with the brilliant idea of turning the Bhagavad Gita into a Broadway musical, so to speak. I don't know if you want to call it an opera or whatever you call it. Rock opera, yeah. And so her album is released, and I thought, oh boy, I need to listen before. It just was released not long ago. I said, I need to listen before I even introduce her, and I was in tears. Lissa, it's genius, it's beautiful, it touches your soul. So please enjoy the first revealing from our center, and you're so much part of our center and so much part of our heart. So here is one of the, and it's perfect for her talk too. Know who you are. Enjoy. Lights off.
Do you know from where you came? When you understand the truth, life will never be the same. Never was there a time when there was not a we. Never will there come a time when any of us cease to be. Do you know who you are? You're not this body, this garment that gets shed. You are what continues on this infinite thread. You cast off worn out clothes and those that you outgrow. The soul casts off a worn-out shell and enters into one that's new. Do you know who you are? Death is certain for the body, and for this you should not grieve. The Atma who dwells in each of us is indestructible and free. It can't be cut or burned. It can't be wiped or withered. Eternal, all-pervading. It is the same forever, forever. The self is the one that's you. Unmanifest, unchanging, therefore know it to be so. You won't waste your time grieving. Death comes to all who are born. It is unavoidable. Birth comes to those who die as a part of the karmic cycle. Do you know? But the self dwelling in all bodies never dies, cannot be slain. Though the body may be wounded, the soul doesn't feel any pain. Consider your own karma, from which you should not waver. Do your duty as a warrior, and don't refuse this righteous labor. Fight as you said you would. Your very honor is at stake. Do your best and fight for what's good. There are no errors you can make. If you die, you if you win, you'll enjoy it. Therefore, arise, Arjuna, and resolve to show your worth, 'cause you know you are. You can control your actions, so do your very best. You can't control the outcome. Trust Brahman to do the rest.
I'm in tears again, and now it's my honor to introduce her in the flesh here, Lissa Coffey. And please, before you leave, tell us how we can promote this. Okay.
Thanks, man. That was, So that's the song that comes with chapter 2 of the Bhagavad Gita, which is kind of a summary of the whole book. And Krishna is speaking to Arjuna, kind of giving him this pep talk, saying, know who you are. That's the most important thing. That's what you're here on earth to figure out. This is your purpose here on earth, is to know who you are. And sometimes it takes a lifetime to get it. But, you know, with all the struggles we go through in life, that's our aim. That's our end goal. So I'll have to tell you guys another time the whole making of the video and everything, because it was really fun. It was a freezing cold day on the beach and lots of wind and everything. And my camera guy canceled the night before the shoot because he was exposed to COVID, and I had to get online and find some guy I never worked with before. And I got one, and I mean, everything just lined up, you know. I just felt like Krishna was with us every step of the way to make this work. And the dancer in there is Radhika Bukhari, and I've known her since she was a little girl, like your size, you know. I've known her since then, and she's been taking Indian dance. And so, of course, I said, and we wanted this storyline to be, this was all during the lockdown time, right? So we couldn't get Sonu to shoot with us, who's the singer, because he's in India. He's a big star in India. So what we did is I came up with this storyline where a girl loses she's an Indian American girl in Los Angeles. She loses her grandmother in India, but she can't go to India because of the lockdown. So she decides to go to the beach to dance like her grandmother taught her these Indian dances, and honor her grandmother by throwing the roses in the ocean like they do in India. They throw the rose petals into the river. So that was the whole story. And she sees this image of the flute player is representing Krishna, and so he's like, is he there or is he not there? Is he his imagination or whatever? And then she finds the peacock feather, which is representative of Krishna. So there's a whole story. But how that process relates to today is that this is another example of teamwork, that it's the we, you know, it's not like my video. I couldn't have done it without the cameraman, without the dancer, without the musicians, without all these people who brought it together, and the editor, and the guy who did the translation, and the captions, and I mean, on and on and on and on. It's very much a we effort. It's not a me effort. It's a we effort. And I think that this is the first thing we learn in life through, in kindergarten even, right? That it's me and we have to share. Like, we're born and we probably know it, but we forget because we're conditioned with all this. This is my mom, this is my house, this is my toy, this is my brother, this is my, and we think that we're the center of the universe. But then we get in kindergarten, or we have siblings or something, and we learn to share and to get along and to take turns. And we learned that we're a part of the classroom, and now we learned the we bit of it again. And I remember in second grade, I heard this story called Stone Soup. Do you guys know this story? Yeah. So I'll just give, since you've heard it already, I'll just give a light brief part for the online community. So this town is pretty much starving. Nobody has any food, and everybody's complaining, and they're thinking, what are we going to do? Times are tough. This is terrible. What are we going to do? And so this wandering monastic comes into the community, and he says, I'm going to make soup that's going to feed everybody. And they're like, yeah, right, okay. So he takes out this big pot, and he puts a stone right in the middle and fills the pot with water, and it starts heating up, and everybody comes around, and they're like, what are you doing? And he goes, I'm making stone soup. Well, it doesn't look very good. He goes, it will be. Just trust me, trust me, trust me. Just needs a little salt. Oh, I have salt. So somebody comes by and puts a little salt. Maybe it needs a little more flavor than just salt. Oh, well, I have a carrot. Okay, so somebody brings a carrot. And then it goes on, and somebody brings like an old beef broth bone, and somebody brings an onion, and somebody brings, you know, a zucchini or whatever they have left. Everybody just brings a meager amount, but the whole community starts gathering around. And lo and behold, we have this beautiful soup that feeds the whole community. So this guy, they're like, you're a magician. And he's like, no, I'm not a magician. It was you guys. You guys all contributed. And now everybody eats because we came together. Individually, we didn't have enough, but together we've got plenty. I remembered that lesson for a long time when I was in, second grade, and here I am still repeating this story, right? It's like such a beautiful story. So I think that's the first lesson we learn in school. And now we're learning it again because, have you guys watched Ted Lasso on TV? Oh my gosh, this is the cutest little sitcom, and it's on Apple TV. I got Apple TV just because of this. But it takes place in Great Britain, and there's a soccer team, and they're terrible. And they lose their coach. The owner's got a divorce. The wife doesn't know what she's doing. She got the team. She wants to give it to the ex. So she hires what she thinks is the worst coach possible. It's this American guy, Ted Lasso. He's never played soccer before. He doesn't know how to play soccer, but she hires him. He comes over to England to coach this team. What does Ted do? He doesn't care how you play soccer, what the rules are, or anything. What he's interested in is, who is this team? How are we going to build this team? How are we going to get cooperation? How are we going to work together? And it's a struggle at first because that's not what they're used to. They're used to, how are we going to get goals? How are we going to make money? How are we going to sell tickets? That was their agenda before Ted came along. Ted came along, and it's, how are we going to be a team? This is our leader. This is what we do. This is how we work together. And yeah, maybe you don't get that goal this time, but the team gets the goal, which means we win. It takes away a lot of the ego that's going on there. So I just loved it. And it reminded me of Brian when Brian was in high school. Brian's 6'4". So of course they recruited him for basketball team, right? And of course they recruited him for volleyball team. But you get further on in school and it's hard to do both, right? So he had to make a decision. Is he going to do basketball or is he going to do volleyball? And he said, oh, Mom, there's no question for me. I'm going to do volleyball. I said, why? I was a little bit surprised, because basketball, you get the cheerleaders and a lot of people come. Volleyball, it's like the parents sitting in the stands and that's about it, And he said, on the basketball team, everybody just is like a ball hog. Everybody, if you make a mistake, they get down on you, you get yelled at, you feel bad. But he goes, in volleyball, even if you make a mistake, everybody's like patting you on the back. That's okay. Next time we're going to get it, and they rally around. He goes, you can't tell if somebody did something good or something bad because they're the same way to you. They're the same way. So he's like, I'm playing volleyball. So I'm like, that's great. That's great. So now there's this thing going around the internet about Ubuntu. Have you guys heard about this Ubuntu? Yeah, so this is, there in South Africa, there are these certain tribes that practice this Ubuntu. So Ubuntu means humanity towards others. So they have these tribes, right? And they stick together. And if one person does something bad, do they kick him out? No. Do they punish him? No. Instead, they take him and a bunch of guys around him, and they spend 2 days reminding him of who he is. They spend 2 days saying, do you remember when, we needed such and such, and you were the guy to go get it? We counted on you, and you did it. You are that good guy. Do you remember when you broke your arm and you didn't complain about it? You just did your work anyway? And they remind him of all the good things he did. You made a mistake. It's okay. We're in this together. We got you. We know who you are. You remember who you are. You are not a guy that does these bad things. And it uplifts the whole community. So that's what Ubuntu is. So now, I think all of us understand this topic of we, not me, right? We get it. If we didn't get it, we wouldn't be here in this room right now. So I'm going to challenge you to go beyond, because there's even more to this. There is more. There is deeper. Yes, we are a we. But we're more than that even. In the Bhagavad Gita, it says, Krishna says, I am the thread on which all the world's blessings are strung. Like pearls on a strand, together we are one. So we're not just a team. We're more a family. There is this connection between us, this interconnectedness between us. We're related. And we understand each other. You know how through generations, and I'm kind of going through this now as I get older, I remember being the little kid, and then I remember being the teenager, and I remember having great-grandparents and grandparents and parents, and now I don't have the grandparents anymore. I just have the parents, and they're getting really old. I lost my father last year, so I'm thinking, oh boy, I'm like the leader of the pack now. I'm the matriarch of the family now. This is a big responsibility, but we all have these roles. How do I learn how to do this? Well, I learned from my mom, who learned from her mom, and this is just what we do. But still in a family, we are one family, but still we kind of have a feeling of separateness, because we each have these roles to play, right? The aunt, the daughter, the sister, the mother, we're playing a role. So even though we're in a family and we feel connected, we still have these roles. Even though maybe in this community we feel like a family, Pam's in charge. She's the reverend. She's the CEO or whatever, as in a corporation. There's a certain hierarchy. We can go even beyond this. Even beyond this. Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, all that you do to help one another, you do for me. There are no others. So do we get this? There are no others. We see each other first as, okay, me and you, or we and them, right? Then we see, oh, one big happy family with all these different working parts keeping the family together. But then we see that we are one. We are the same. It's just like looking in a mirror. I look in a mirror and I see, oh, that's Lisa. I look at Pam and I see, oh, that's Lisa. This is the same thing, okay? We are mirrors of each other. We are the same. The same light in me that makes me alive is the same light in Lynn, is the same light in Ralph, is the same light in Bill. It's the same, the same. It's in different packaging, right? Like we're all little Christmas presents, but that light is the same light. It's not separate at all. The light that is in the gopher in my backyard digging up my plants is the same light that's in me. So I don't want to harm him in any way as much as he is harming my garden. We got this very humane trap that we're going to try to do and release him into the wild where he can have whatever plants he wants. But there's no difference between us. You know, when we're in that team mentality, it's easy to fall into Democrats and Republicans, you know, and have this identity. I'm a Californian, I'm a Minnesotan, I'm an American, I'm an Argentinian. You know, it's easy to fall into that we, us and them things. But when you realize there's no separation, we are one. We are one. It is this unity of humanity. There are no borders. If you're in a spaceship and you go, like William Shatner was just in a spaceship, right? He said he had this amazing spiritual experience and he'll never be the same. He said it was so awesome he couldn't get over it. It was more than he could have ever imagined of those years of playing Captain Kirk, you know? When you're in a spaceship and you're looking at the planet, do you see the boundary lines of this is this country, this is this country, this is this ocean, this is that? No. It's on a globe that man made and we drew these arbitrary lines. But from that perspective, it's one planet. Go further. It's one universe. It's all one. There's no separation. It's one big sky that we see up above all the time. It's the same sky wherever you go. I remember when Brian was in 6th grade or something, and they were learning about the moon phases and how the moon goes from no moon to full moon and then back to no moon, and you know, it's the phase of the moon. And they were supposed to do homework about, you know, what phase is the moon in and stuff like that. And this one girl said that she was traveling to go see her aunt in New York or something. And so she didn't know if she could do her homework. And the teacher's like, what do you mean you can't do your homework? She says, well, I don't know if the moon's going to be in the same phase in New York. And the teacher's like, yeah, it's the same moon. Oh, yeah, I guess you're right. Okay. That's just the way it is. So what this concept is of we are one, this is what Science of Mind preaches. This is what Unitarian preaches. This is what A Course in Miracles says. And this is what Buddhism, Hinduism, Taoism, a lot of those religions are practicing and teaching. And it's called Advaita. Advaita means non-dual, or not two, one. The unity of it, Advaita. And that's where Advaita Vedanta comes in, which is what we practice at the temple, which is at the Vedanta Society, which is what Sarva Devananda is going to be talking about a little bit on Sunday, next week, Sunday. But it's all about how we're not just pearls on the strand. We are the strand itself. When we can get to that point in our spiritual growth, our spiritual evolution, then we've got it. And it's one thing to conceptualize it, to understand it from an intellectual point of view, to say, okay, that makes sense, yeah, that makes sense, that makes sense. It's another thing to embody it and to be it. But when we say know who you are, that is who you are. You are that infinite thread. That is who you are. So it's not just from going from me to we, but it's going from me to we, to knowing the I am. Knowing the I means all the I's collectively, the animals, the plants, the trees, the ocean, life itself. That is who you are.